Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name's Ben Steger. I'm here to answer your shooting questions. Joining me today on camera for the first time.
Second time, probably. When isn't this going to drop after the next?
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's producer Candice.
Hey.
Yeah, hey. Matt Olinchak is joining us as well.
How you doing?
You got your tactical beard in full effect, Matt.
That's right. I'm currently operating.
Oh my God! You might be wondering, who is this Matt person, and why do we care? This is Grandmaster shooter guy, and you're Grandmaster in production, right, Matt?
Yep.
And IDPA master and opinionated internet troll. Yeah.
That's probably the best thing anyone's ever said about me.
Wow. I wish your mom loved you more. Right? Yeah. Okay. If you want to reach Matt, you can find him at supertactical.com, and there's a dash in there somewhere. I'll let you figure out where if you're going to actually go to that website. All right. First up today, new IDPA rules have come out. Matt and Candice are. Well, Candice is a more avid IDPA shooter than I think you are, Matt. But Matt, give us the rundown of the new IDPA rules. What are they? Why do we care?
I don't know why you care, and I'm a little disappointed because I don't want people to think of me as that guy with the beard that shoots IDPA that was on Bed's podcast. But
you are that guy.
Man, that is an awesome. That sounds great. I'd like to be that guy with the beard who shoots IDPA on Bed's podcast.
That is a complicated reference, sir.
I'll get parts made up next week when I get mine printed. So basically, you can reload on the move now, and you can shoot a stupid division with a full-size gun with a
Wait, you can reload on the move now? They must have like messed that up in some tactical way, though.
Yeah, well, the best thing about it is that you can reload on the move while charging into a room, but you can't reload on the move while walking past the same room's doorway. If that makes any sense. No.
Okay, so I can surprise the cardboard, but I can't like be surprised by the cardboard. Okay.
Whatever. We're not going to apply logic to it anyway.
Whatever.
Matt,
who cares?
You watch the internet. You're on IDPA forum. All that reaction to these rules. Overall, positive or negative?
I think it's better. I think it's definitely an improvement. People are always going to shit on something.
Well, I mean, it was last year. IDPA just changed rule sets and pissed a lot of people off. Right.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people didn't renew.
Right, and now they're kind of moving back the other direction. So I suppose that's good. Candice, are you excited about any of these IDPA rule changes?
Not really, because they added a new division, right?
Oh yeah, you gotta re-up the 5-gun master thing if you want to keep.
But it's cool because I don't need to buy a new gun or anything because PPQ is still golden. So just do it again.
Okay, well that's excellent. Now let's get into questions that more people are going to find interesting. For Mr. Matt, put a feeler out on Facebook. You had a lot of comments because of your trolly ways on the internet. Lots of people got on there to comment, and there was exactly 2 that were made for productive questions. So the first guy's comment is, for Matt, please no IDPA. Lame. Sorry.
Too late, sorry.
That's not really a question.
I agree, but then...
he's getting to the question that he does care about.
Oh, okay.
And don't bring up some lame threads on duty, like USPSA president, or
I'm not hearing the question.
Some lame gun model nobody cares about. This is things he doesn't want to talk about. And he says, maybe talk about shooting 40 minor in production. That's the first one. So he wants to know about shooting 40 minor in production. Matt, and you actually do this. So this is, somewhat interesting. It kind of
because it's the best idea.
What?
I'm telling you, you shoot a stage with all headshots, you're gonna win because of that extra. What is it?
What if they put on a bunch of no shoots, Matt?
You're gonna get that perf, and you're gonna win. I mean, basically, it was just a convenience thing for me. I mean, it's definitely doable, and you can find 40 caliber unicorns out there.
So that was the reason, because you're not baller enough to get a 9mm one? Is that
no,
really
the reason really is I shot a Glock in limited. I was a limited shooter for a long time, and my backup gun was a Glock 35. And if you wanted to play an IDPA, that's what I used, and I downloaded the ammo for minor, and then if I played in production, I used that. So when the unicorn came out, and everybody was paying $5,000 for one, or whatever the prices are now, I robbed some guy in Pittsburgh for a couple of them. Paid like $600 for one, and there you go.
Jesus Christ, really?
$650 for my backup one. Yeah. But it came with 5 mags, so.
Okay, well.
Oh yeah, so that makes it fair.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Now, would you subscribe to the theory that shooting 40 is better than shooting 9 in production because of the recoil impulse?
It's the same. It doesn't really. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I mean, they feel more or less the same. There's it's as much of a difference shooting 40 and 9 as it is like shooting, picking a new powder or changing bullet weights. Like, it's a little bit different feel, but if you shoot one or the other for 2 weeks, it's the same.
All right, good. So next question for this guy: how do you switch between the Tanfo and the limited guns? Good and bad things about shooting each division. So you shoot one of Bobby's guns, right? In limited.
No, it's gone.
That's gone. You sold that?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was gonna give you shit about that, but I guess not.
Isn't it bad?
Gone. The biggest difference, I guess, this year is I switched to Kydex holster in limited. I just don't think I can be as aggressive with the race holster, getting on the gun and ripping it out of the race holster compared to Kydex. So.
Well, that's because your scope draw will just send it flying, right?
That's right. I scoop it. I try to catch it with my other hand, and then.
All right. That's fair.
Well, what was the question?
How do you switch between the guns?
How do I switch between the guns? Well, in the morning of the match, I bring my limited gun belt to the match, and I take my limited gun out of the safe, and then I shoot that one.
Wow.
Is there a big difference? I don't know. One recoil is a little bit more, right? But
well, we do shoot like limited guns in production. That's the whole point of the Tanfo and CZ, right?
I think my limited gun is lighter than my production gun. So then it balances it out, right?
All right. Yes. So that's great. So that's what this guy's looking for, is to hear that shooting 40 minor in production is somehow dramatically different than shooting 9, and there's something magical that happens when you change guns or something. We did shoot a different division, and apparently it's all the same to you. You just don't give a shit. So that's fine.
I think if you shoot maybe 220 grain 40 minor bullets going like whatever they go 300 miles an hour or something like that, that might make a difference. But it also would you'd have to wait for the bullets to hit the steels. And it would make your times longer.
Yeah, what I have seen a few years ago, it was kind of an idea that a few people had, that shooting 40 minor was a good idea, and they would pick to shoot 40. When they're buying a new setup, it's like, hey, I want the 40 because I want to get really heavy bullets going really slow. And the only real problem with that, aside from being a little more expensive to get the gun to run, it would be the bullets are it's so slow that some striker-fired guns won't function that well with 40 minor. They just won't work.
Yeah, I run a 13-pound spring with some coils cut off in my Glock for it, so
yeah,
that's typical, I think.
It just sounded like people that don't know how to work a gun, but
no, if the striker-fired guns, they get pushed out of battery slightly because the tension on the striker
trigger pulls the fly back. Yeah.
Yeah, so they do mechanically work differently than the unicorns. Anyway. A different dude asked, I think you should talk about good practice and Dryfire techniques. Perfect practice, and he put perfect in all caps.
This is really perfect.
He's not fucking around. All right. Perfect practice makes perfect. Bad practice makes you worse. What do you think, Matt?
And what was that guy's name that posted that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Leave his name out of it, man.
No, I disagree with that. You think it means a different thing than he thinks it means.
Well, that's good. Right? So let's talk about what you think.
So we
pre-gamed this one a little bit. We probably shouldn't have.
What I think he thinks that means is that he wants to do all perfect reps all the time in his Dryfire because he doesn't want, I guess, training scars. But I think that's stupid. And you're going to say why. Ready, go.
Well, it depends on what you mean by doing perfect practice. To me, perfect practice would be like the idealized way to practice, and that would mean pushing yourself to the point of occasionally making mistakes and then working through those mistakes and correcting them. But you're
really sure
probably
that's
right.
not what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's probably not what this guy means. This guy probably means like you need to be perfect all the
slow
time.
and learn how to shoot real slow.
Right. Well, he is slow. I've seen him. He's local. So that's probably, and I guess you'll stay slow if you practice slow, right?
Yeah,
you have to practice like a maniac until the wheels fall off, and then dial it back.
I've seen plenty of people who have a very sort of fluid, well-practiced draw, for example, where you can tell they practice it a lot, but it's like a second and a half to the first shot all the time. And then as soon as you push them to go faster, they fall apart. And it's like, you've been doing that, you've been practicing that one way for like 2-3 years. You look very fluid at it, and you're not getting any faster, you're not getting any better. And until you push yourself and kind of work through your mistakes, you're not going to get better. That's my take on it. So I don't disagree with you, Matt. Yes.
Well, I practice like a retard, and I guess I'm getting better. So I'd be the case study for that, right?
All right, you're going to switch your practice technique for the next 6 months to perfect practice and get back to us.
What?
What? I think you should switch your technique to whatever this guy says for like 6 months.
Sounds legit, right?
And then let us know how it goes.
Well, unfortunately, Matt.
No, I actually want to get better, though.
I've actually physically confiscated Candice's timer.
Oh, you don't need a timer.
Well, apparently not.
She actually doesn't need a timer right now because she shoots like crazy out of control. And it's like, I'm not saying go slow, just let's emphasize not making mistakes for a while. And then you'll be able to compete better.
I think maybe Matt's right. I should try to practice perfectly. That sounds... Nah.
No, you're not going to do it.
No, that's not fun.
All right, Candice, let's get to our shooting question for me today.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
you don't have that teed up, huh?
Yeah, this guy says, I've had LASIK surgery about 6 years ago, and although I can see very well at a distance, I have to really strain my eyes to keep my front sight in focus for the tight shots. I had prescription inserts made for my shooting glasses, and now my dominant eye focuses naturally through aid of the lens on the front sight, and my non-dominant eye focuses on the medium and further distances. The result is that no matter whether I shoot with a target or front sight focus, my front sight is always crispy clear because of the action of the lens. Do you think this might cause me to shoot slower on the closer targets as I now see my front sight too well, if there is such a thing? I'm not sure if you have had any experience with such setups before. And that's it.
Well, I personally haven't had that done to my eyes. I've been LASIK'd, but I don't have a prescription set of glasses like that. Now that's something that I know a few people that have done, where they have prescriptions made where each eye focuses at a different distance, and for some people that works, and for some people it doesn't. And what eye doctors end up doing is, well, I know one guy that got LASIK'd that way actually. So they made him glasses, and he wore them around for a couple weeks to see if having his eyes LASIK that way, which is pretty permanent. So you just check that out for a couple weeks, and it worked for him. So what your brain ends up doing is switching from one eye to the other, because if you're at the age where you have a problem changing focal depth with your eyes and you're unable to focus on really close stuff, like if you're at reading glasses age, this is not an uncommon thing to do. So what your brain's actually going to be doing is switching which eye it's paying attention to, which not everybody can do, but it's something that you need to experiment with. And what I would propose is that if you're shooting close range targets and you're shooting target focused, but the sight still appears crisp and clear to you, you're not shooting target focused. All right, so you may think that you're doing that, but you're not. So I would play around with a couple other things and try to do that. And the reason that's a good idea to learn to shoot target focus and have your front sight appear blurry is because you're not going to be paying attention to every little movement of your front sight. Seeing that stuff is just going to give you another thing to worry about, and it's not going to matter at close range seeing the sights appear nice and blurry where you can tell their position, but you're not worried about little movements in the sight, that's going to end up helping you go faster. So that's something I do recommend that you sort out, and you learn to actually shoot target focused where the sights appear blurry. Candice, you don't have any input on that, do you?
No, I'm just nearsighted. The end.
I wear contacts, but you can still. I mean, that guy can still change his eyes will still focus. Change focal depths between the sight and something else not 12 inches from his face. I would think. They're
going to change.
It's not like your eyes are fixed in one position.
Well, when you have your prescriptions done that way, usually what they're trying to do is you're going to switch eyes in your brain. And some people work that way, and some people don't, and that's why it's something that eye doctors experiment with. Like the fast way is to switch, just kind of switch which eye you're paying attention to. It's not a conscious thing. It's just like, hey, I want to focus on that now, and then your brain just like pays attention to the other eye.
I don't know if a lot of the people that are listening to this podcast,
nobody gives a fuck about it.
They could handle that.
No.
They have enough time. I mean, I've seen Candice shoot. They have a hard enough time. Just.
Wait, what?
I don't think your brain needs anything else to pay attention to during a match.
Jeez.
One eye or the next, and then.
Should just rename this podcast to the Take a Dump on Candice show or something.
Well,
right.
That's what you get.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
Speaking of taking a dump on Candice, it's time to read some comments from the YouTube channel. Right? I'm sorry, that was...
Sounds great. No, actually, I can't, see out of my left eye very much, so that's...
Candice, we're going to read comments now.
Whatever, fine.
All right. So the Candice shits all over Caleb episode, that generated quite a lot of comments. And we already did, I think the whole thing's been beat to death, especially since Caleb got to come on and defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't even want to get into it again. We'll just skip that. Let's talk about the Tim Herron show, because that's where people don't get beat on. All right, well, guys, says this is a pretty good show. I appreciated Tim's input on how he got faster. I was one of the people in your class who was gritting his teeth and hunching his shoulders in an attempt to go fast, and I could still hear your "oh God" lament. It was useful to learn that Tim was a turtle for a while until he could stay relaxed at speed. I think it's motivating to hear stories of how people moved up and got better. Seems more attainable and comes from someone whose first classification wasn't GM. Yeah. Also, you can keep Candice. It's entertaining to watch how easily you can set her off. Like I said, good foil. What?
All right.
Okay, great.
So that's one guy who says we get to keep Candice, so people can stop
One vote
posting.
in my favor.
I think he said you get to keep Candice because he likes you picking on
He
her.
likes you pissing me off. That's cool.
Well, it's better than posting pictures of Kermit the Frog.
Hey,
Is this what Candice looks like?
yes, that is what I look like. This is a meat puppet.
All right. Another guy commented, I'm shooting the Excalibur. So we did in that episode talk about the Excalibur. Hey, hold on. He's going to talk about this guy shot the gun more than you have, Candice,
Okay.
more than I have. Before, the only guns I've shot were Steel, CZ, and Clones, Sphinx 3000, Tanfo Stock 2, and Shadow.
Wow, he shot some good guns.
Wow.
Well, that's the only guns he shot. So
That guy's doing it right, I think.
he's definitely not from the U.S. Since I'm shooting IPSC, I can't have custom trigger job. This is how he wrote it. So I'm doubting English is the first language, but I can't have custom trigger job, so I'm pretty much stuck with factory options for trigger tuning. What I like about Excalibur is that it recoils the same as steel guns, but it's much lighter. It helps me with transitions. Single action trigger is excellent from the box. Double action is heavier and longer to pull compared to CZ-like guns. The downside of the gun is the rotating barrel, because the gun must be super clean and well lubricated to run 100%, which it does in my case. So there it is. It's tried and true, and this guy seems to like his grand powers. So suck it, haters.
It recoils the same, but it's lighter.
Uh-huh.
The trigger is worse, and it doesn't work all the time.
Yeah.
And he likes it better.
And suck it, haters. I
He
put
likes
that
it
on the end.
because the out-of-the-box trigger is better, right? But I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
You can just
they're
buy
not-
all the Frenchie parts and have a good trigger.
No, he just said you're not allowed to do that for IPSC.
I thought you can.
You can buy the Eric parts or whatever. Right?
Yeah, but you're not allowed to do a trigger job.
You don't have to do a trigger job.
See, I'm trying to like wink. If you're just listening in your car, I'm like winking. Yeah, you're not allowed to do trigger jobs in IPSC.
Oh no, no,
It
you are
seems
not.
like I don't know. When I walk around at IPSC matches, it sure seems like a lot of those guns have had trigger jobs done on them. I don't know.
Only at lower levels you're not allowed to. At the big matches, I guess you can, right? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. The enforcement of the rules is a little odd at IPSC matches. Anyway, that's going to do it for us today. If you have a shooting question you'd like to ask me, head over to bensteger.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to get in touch with Candice, the YouTube channel is probably the best way to do that because Candice does pay attention. Yeah. And if you want to talk to Matt Olinchak, head over to supertactical.com. What do you sell cameras, right, Matt?
We work with Pivot Head, which is a video camera glasses company.
Yeah, so if you want
check them out over there.
Yeah, if you want video camera glasses that are, what are they? They like GoPros, but slightly less gay, right?
Yeah, you don't have to strap a huge square to your head. You just wear them like regular shooting glasses. They're 1080p.
Make you look like Clark Kent or something, right? I mean, they're kind of dorky.
They're like 1960s Vietnam glasses, you know, right?
They're not bad.
But they're 1080p, so that's awesome.
You can take them off between stages if you don't want to look dorky all the time.
Yes. All right. Well, good. So we'll catch you guys next time.